conversion, the torus, and the space between objects. Today I want to talk about the idea of conversion in a much broader sense. Most people associate the word conversion with transformation. One thing becoming another, one state changing into a different state. That is the meaning I want to focus on. To begin, let's look at the shape known as a torus. A torus can resemble a funnel, an hourglass, or a curved circular flow. A simple way to imagine this is to think about water spinning as it drains from a bathtub. The movement creates a vortex-like structure. Now here is the important part. I believe that human perception is deeply connected not only to objects themselves, but to the spaces and transitions between objects. Imagine two spheres placed side by side. Most people would simply say, there are two spheres, but another way of describing the scene is this. Sphere, space, sphere. The gap itself becomes meaningful. The empty region between objects creates distinction. Without separation, there is no sense of two. This idea appears everywhere. In binary code, 0 is just as important as 1. Without intervals, information collapses into noise. Absence helps create structure. Music works the same way. A melody is not made only of notes. Silence matters too. Pauses shape rhythm and meaning. Visual perception also depends heavily on boundaries and contrast. For example, if you place a box in front of yourself, you can only see part of it. The rest remains hidden from view. So every object contains the visible and the invisible. You never perceive the total object directly. Your mind reconstructs the missing parts. That means perception itself is incomplete and interpretive. Now return again to the two spheres. The space between them creates a pattern. And perhaps human consciousness pays enormous attention to these patterns. Not only to objects, but to transitions, edges, contrasts, relationships, and spaces. This may explain why so many ideas and language revolve around borders, crossings, openings, portals, and transformations. Human thought may be far more geometric than we usually imagine. Perhaps we experience reality not as isolated things, but as networks of relationships and structured gaps between things. In that sense, the empty space is not truly empty. It organizes perception itself.